this is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and we have Connie on the channel today. Connie, welcome to the channel.
Hi, nice to meet you, Dan.
Nice to meet you too. Connie has a unique story I wanted you guys to hear. So Connie, where are you from and where are you in the world right now?
Actually, I'm from Hong Kong. I was born there. I lived there most of the time, and now actually I'm in Mexico. I had been in Mexico for 1.5 years.
Wow. So you went from Hong Kong to Mexico about 1.5 years ago?
Yeah, at the beginning of last year, beginning of 2023, I moved here. It's an interesting story for me. I don't know, because it all started beginning of 2022 due to the COVID lockdowns, because Hong Kong started having the COVID lockdown starting beginning of 2020. And I had been there for 2 years, suffering with this mask and all the lockdowns, and I can't go anywhere. And I started thinking that I must leave, I must escape. So I was searching, and I came across a lot of guys from US, from Canada. They were posting videos that they ran away, they escaped to Mexico, and they were so happy there and it's free without any lockdowns, and they were just happy. So I started researching about this country, and then I found, oh, many years ago already, many US people, Canadian people, they had been moving here, they had been living here for long time, buying property, and I researched more and more, and I found, so many foreigners are living here. So I think it's a good place to get a residency visa. It's not that difficult. It's workable for me. Let me say, it's even though I'm a citizen of Hong Kong.
We also ended up going to Mexico about 6 months, maybe it was 8 months after the pandemic broke out, because it was the only place that Cheng and I could meet that was open, and we had a really good time there. So in Mexico, are you traveling around Mexico, or have you picked one place that you're staying?
Actually, I was traveling around. For the first 4 or 5 months, I was mainly staying in Mexico City and Oaxaca because I need to learn Spanish. I didn't know a word of Spanish before. Well, it's really necessary, so I stay there and attend the courses and lessons. And in the weekends, I travel. So it's only for day trip or 2-3 days maximum.
So for the first 4 months, you were, it sounds like you were going between Mexico City and Oaxaca. And now you mentioned you're in Puerto Vallarta, but you're leaving soon. What other parts of Mexico have you been in?
So right now I have been to 18 states.
Wow, 18 states.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had been to, like, they call Pueblo Magico. Yeah. I have been to 47 Pueblo Magicos. I counted it, and the pyramids, 25 or 26. And also had been to, like, those nice rivers, canyons.
Wow, you've really seen Mexico. I rarely meet even that many people that have been to so many states, honestly. And so you've really experienced Mexico. What are your overall thoughts about it? What is your feeling about Mexico?
The feeling is good. The feeling is just, I was so happy that I made the right choice, although I had never been here. It's kind of risky thing. I don't know, but yeah, I'm glad that I made the right choice. And all along, after having been to all these places, it suits me. I think it suits me. I'm happy with most of the things here. Of course, it was different from my life before in the concrete jungle. I live with an open mind. I accept the things. I accept the environment, the people, the food. I accept some of the inconveniences or the things that are different. So very good. I enjoy it here.
Your friends and family maybe back home think you're a little bit risky or crazy.
My brother, he lived in the United Kingdom. He couldn't accept it. I told him, "Oh, I'm going to Mexico." He said, "Mexico? What are you? What are you doing? It's the last thing in the world where you want to go." Yeah, but it's different. Like my sister, she's happy. She's very happy for me that I'm moving out of Hong Kong. I mean, because her husband is Mexican. They live in the States. Well, some of my friends, they never thought it could be Mexico. Most of the people, when I told
Yeah.
them, okay, I'm leaving, they asked, oh, where you are going? To United Kingdom, to Canada, or
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, none of them could imagine that it's Mexico.
While in Mexico, are you cooking most of your meals at home? Are you eating out more? How are you doing with food?
I'm traveling around. I don't have a home. I stay in Airbnbs and sometimes hotels. I cook maybe about 20% because not every place has a good kitchen. And
Right.
also, I like Mexican food. I like the street food, I can say.
Yeah.
Street food is the best thing. I mean, when I find something nice in the street, I'll just stand there and eat it in the streets. I buy takeaway from the Mercado or some restaurants. I don't eat in restaurants that often. Like in Mercados or in local restaurant is fine, but in fancy restaurant it's not really that interesting for me. But sometimes if for some very special dishes, cuisine or whatever, I will go to fancy restaurants also.
It sounds like you're doing what I call slow travel. You're moving around, enjoying all these beautiful states in Mexico and the pyramids and the waterfalls. When you're moving like that, it can be more expensive because it's hard to get as cheap a rent when you're not renting by the month. So what kind of budget do you keep slow traveling around Mexico, or what's your goal when you're living like that in
Well,
Mexico?
yeah, it's after 1.5 years, I check it out. It's I'm spending quite a lot more than I originally thought. Because I read in those YouTube videos, whatever, you can live by $1,000 per month.
Yeah.
Some even less. Well, so I was expecting, okay, 1,500 US per month, maybe. I did all the calculations. I mean, I keep all the records like like you do because I do need to know how I'm going to live on. So it ended up that every month, on average, I spend about 2,000 US dollar. It
Okay.
depends on where I am. Like I was in Veracruz and Hidalgo. Those places are slightly cheaper. Or Chiapas also is slightly cheaper. But in places, Guadalajara, Querétaro, those are more expensive. I think about 50% of what I spend is on accommodation. Usually I use Airbnb. Sometimes I use Booking.com. The cheapest place I had stayed was in San Cristobal in Chiapas, 180 pesos per day. So it's like a bit more than 10 US dollar per day. So it ended up, I made all the calculations for a month. For cheapest days is about 700 US dollar. I can survive with that. The more expensive on the higher end is like 1,000 US dollar for accommodation.
People have reported that over the last few years, inflation has affected the rents in Mexico. Also, the exchange, the Mexican currency has been rising over the last few years relative to the US dollar.
Yeah, the exchange rate is something. Now it's less than 17 pesos to $1. I had been here through 1.5 years. I feel that it's getting more expensive here overall. I mean, not about the exchange rate, but the overall standards, the overall costing. It seems it's getting more expensive. Residency visas criteria is getting higher and higher every year. And 2024 is so much, I think it's like 30% higher than 2023.
So do you miss anything from home?
Not really. Well, maybe the seafood, because seafood back home is the way they cook. I mean, it's a lot better than here. Much varieties. But as I move here, then I learn I adapted to it. I don't crave for seafood anymore.
What's your overall feeling about safety there in Mexico, and have you adapted your life in that regard some, or how do you feel there about that?
Yeah, overall it's safe. And in some cities like Veracruz, at a point I thought, oh, it's like a ghost town, nobody in the streets. Everything is deserted. So I was wondering whether it's safe. And I asked my Spanish teacher, and he said, oh, it's safe. Yeah, I had been a little bit worried because sometimes I like to go up to the mountains, like the Mirador, they call it. You go up there and you see the whole city, and there's nobody. I mean, many of the places I went, there's nobody, there's only me. Like some pyramids, also, there's only me. So I was a little bit scared what would happen. Well, anyway, I did all those things. Nobody's there, nobody's around. So why would somebody be hiding there to wait for somebody to go there? Did risky things sometimes, but touch wood, I'm fine now.
Are you buying any kind of health insurance there, or what are you doing about healthcare?
Nothing, no insurance at all. Actually, before back home, also I didn't have any insurance. It wasn't of any use, so I dumped it all. But I also heard that if I become a permanent resident and I'm over 60, I could well, there are benefits for old people here. I heard a lot of people say the hospitals, the healthcare here, the medical system is very good and cheap. A lot of people posting videos or whatever, they say it's easy, it's affordable. I trust it.
So you've been through this whole process. If you were going to do it over again, is there anything that you would do differently that you could share that people could learn something from?
When traveling, to use more local transportation, and when visiting places, to cover more different places in that region. Just be more adventurous. But I'm still learning now. I mean, I'm still on my journey and visit more places.
Do you think you'll keep up the slow travel, or do you think at some point you'll want to settle down in one place?
At a certain point, I'm worried that, oh, maybe I'll be tired. Sometimes I stay in like the capital city for a longer time and without doing anything for the whole day, just to rest up. I think I would finish the whole of Mexico first, which I think until the end of the year. And then I will probably settle in one place for some time, few months, half year, and then decide what to do next. Because next I would be thinking of going to South America, not until I can speak better Spanish. I mean, I manage now with my poor Spanish, but it's very bad. I think in the summer I will some more Spanish lessons.
So South America, that sounds exciting too.
I watch your website, your YouTubes and things, but it's a little bit foreign to me still. I mean, the Southern Hemisphere is still a little bit foreign, but I think if I speak better Spanish.
The change in environment you experience by going from Hong Kong, which I've been to, and it's a lovely place. I think I like visiting there. I don't think I would pick it for living either. But the change from Hong Kong to Mexico is a fairly large leap of faith you've already taken. I think you'll find South America to be a smaller leap, almost no matter where you go. I would stay away from places right now like Venezuela, maybe. But most of the Latin America, I think you'll find it'll just be a baby step compared to the going from Hong Kong. Yeah, I think a lot of the people, that get into trouble in Latin America, not all, but some of them certainly, if not, a large number, is because they're getting involved with the wrong people, drugs, law breaking, and if you run in the wrong crowd, it's going to create problems for you. But you sound like someone who's sensible. So I suspect if you live the same kind of life that you're living in Mexico, where they also have cartels, I think you'll find the same thing. You'll be able to protect yourself, regardless of whether you're in Mexico or, Argentina. It's just street smarts, which, I'm sure after a year and a half now, you've developed some of that. You know how to patterns your life in a way that has a lower risk. So I think you'll enjoy South America. And I'm really proud of you, really. 18 of the states in Mexico is quite an accomplishment, especially in a year and a half.
Yeah, maybe some states I won't go because actually I was traveling because I was looking for the place for a place or places that I really love, that I really want to stay there. And, you know, some states like Monterey or Chihuahua, or whatever, Sonora. I mean, some states I wouldn't want to live there. I think I wouldn't want to live there. So maybe I like the beach towns. I mean, I'm not a water person. I don't fancy beaches. Maybe some of the beach states I won't visit.
Some of my favorite places in Mexico are in the center, in the high mountains, where they were built by the Spanish before air conditioning was invented. So they're high enough elevation where it's not too hot. And that's where the charming cities are, cobblestone streets and, you know, 200-300-year-old buildings and even older, and beautiful mountains. I love that part of Mexico, the center part.
Yeah, I love the highlands. I love mountains. I mean, I like cities which are surrounded by mountains.
So what are if you were going to say your top 5 places you've been in Mexico, what would you say they were?
Well, actually, the first place that I fell in love with, Guanajuato, I was only there for 3 days, but the atmosphere that I like, and the winding, I mean, the narrow alleys, the steep streets, winding streets. So I need to go back there and like to live some more time to see if it's really good. And the second place that I liked was San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas.
Yeah.
It's also very high altitude, good atmosphere, good food. I mean, nice streets. And also in Chiapas, waterfalls, nice canyons, nice river, pyramids. Well, so far that's about it. Of course, I had been to so many places. I'm still thinking, okay, which is better, which is good, which place is suitable for living. I'm still considering, because the more places I visited, the more difficult to decide.
Yeah, I'd have the same feeling. It's almost like at some point you realize maybe you like the exploration more than the destination. And so you want to kind of keep feeding your soul with seeing new places. So that becomes hard if you keep seeing all these beautiful places.
Yeah, but it's already too much for me. I think I couldn't digest it. I mean, I have to go over and over again and think about it.
So do you like to take photos when you go to these places?
Yeah.
It would be lovely if you could send over some photos, especially with your permission, of course. I would put it on the video so people could see some of these places that you've enjoyed, see the photos you took, and see why, maybe get a better feel for why you like them.
Yeah, sure. I took so many photos. My phone is full. I mean, I have to keep deleting them. Yeah, sure. I will send you the photos. Mexico, okay, about Mexico is it's interesting. It's a friendly place, and I think the government here is quite good. They are very independent. They are open-minded, and they take care of their citizens. I feel that they do, like they constantly building roads or improving it, widen it, build new roads, whatever. There's construction everywhere. I think it's a very advanced country, and it's very efficient. I can feel nothing that you need to wait for a long time. For many of the pyramids, the archaeological sites, and many museums, that many of those places are free or just very cheap. I feel good about the country.
Thank you so much, Connie, for coming on the channel and sharing your story. It's a unique story, and I think it'll encourage other people to maybe check out Mexico or jump out of whatever country they're in and go see the world. I think that story will help them do that. So thank you.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience for me. I'm Chinese. It's very common for Western people, white people, but I guess it's not that common for Asians. Thank you. Thank you also. Very seldom solo, but there are.
Yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of solos out there. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
So I've created a playlist just for females that come on the channel to share, because some people ask for females from time to time, and it's up there or up here or somewhere. Click that and watch some more females if you want.